celebrating the baby boomer lifestyle. This is Boomer Life with Sterling Fox on AM 650.
Welcome back to the program. We're talking retirement living today on Boomer Life. Our guests, so far, have been from Revera Retirement Living in the persons of Lydia Miller, Regional Director of Sales for BC, and from the Kensington of Victoria, Executive Director Amber Reese is with us. And we have expanded our group by two. From Still on the Hill, Jackie Laverick and Phyllis Wicken have joined us. Jackie and Phyllis, welcome.
Hi, thank
Hello.
you for having
So
us.
what on earth is Still on the Hill? Jackie?
Jackie?
Well, we are a transition and relocation company
Okay. Based in Vancouver?
based in Vancouver, East Vancouver, but we work all over the place. We've worked as far as Whistler and Salt Spring Island and
Cloverdale.
I mean,
and
depending on where people need to go.
Right. And Phyllis, you are both certified relocation and transition specialists, you and Jackie.
Yes, we are.
I've never met one of your type before. What exactly have you done to achieve that designation? What does that mean?
They get
Well-
special implants.
Oh,
Yes.
no. Oh. Chip people. Uh-oh.
Well, basically, it's a certification that you earn. So we went out actually to Kingston to get the
To
certification.
Queens?
No, Ontario.
Yeah, Queens. Queens University is in Kingston.
Not at the university. It was
Okay.
a separate area. I can't remember where it is that exactly. But anyway, it basically trains you to work with mature adults.
Okay.
They certify, they train. You know, we're qualified to understand all of the different situations and things to look out for that are important for safety.
Okay, so Jackie, as a result, then your clientele is basically all seniors.
Mostly.
Okay, and what sort of work do you do?
Well, we guide them through the process of transitioning, of moving. And, like a moving company would come in and just move you, where we, right from the beginning, we get together with them, we assess their situation, we understand their history and their story. We help, we understand how they move around and, what furniture they use to move around. And then based on all of our assessment, we make recommendations for
their new place. So
Okay.
how we can either mirror the way they're living, which basically means you're setting things up as close as possible to how they presently
Replicating
live.
the current,
Yeah.
right?
And that's comforting, right? They
Right.
want to know that, this is where my coffee cup goes because that's my favorite table. And, we cover all of it. So just to answer the question completely, we do the whole process
All right.
from beginning to end, where the customer is at the very end happy and settled.
You
into
help
their
them deal
space.
with stuff, don't you?
All of the stuff.
All of the stuff. And Amber, for a person like you at the Kensington, the resource that Jackie and Phyllis provide must be invaluable to you because a lot of that, we talked about the emotion.
no question.
This is a whole guilt thing going on. There's the fear. There's all this. It's just an emotional roller coaster. And somewhere in the midst of all of this, sane people with calm demeanors and a lot of know-how have to emerge to be invaluable assistants.
You have no idea how much stress comes from changing addresses, completing the paperwork, writing the checks. You're 85 plus years old. That's a challenge, and we take that for granted. And the amount of times I've heard that, and you think, well, there's so many services you can tap into, but they don't know about it.
They don't know.
And you
You're
don't
right.
understand how much stress that something mundane, what we perceive as mundane anyway, can bring. So that's where, we work with businesses like Still on the Hill in Victoria, and they're just so invaluable to the whole process and to reducing the stress for the senior, but more importantly for the boomer.
Now, are you usually approached by someone from a retirement community, or is it one of us boomer kids, or do seniors just call you out of the blue? What's the
You
usual
kind of answered
contact?
my questions.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
I have nothing left to say.
well, I have no more questions either.
No. I mean, exactly as you said, we're approached by the seniors. We're approached by the boomer children. They're just busy. They're working on their careers, and they've got their own kids, and there's
Sure.
a lot going on.
Absolutely.
And depending if they're in the same cities or not, our service comes in at that point. And in addition, retirement communities are also putting our name out there, and we're one of the options. There are others, and so it gives people a choice of who they want to work with, because it's intimate.
Right.
We really get in there, and you know, you want to make sure that's the right person for you, someone you can trust and build a relationship with. And that's what we do with the communities as well. We build relationships. They know we can do the work.
Right.
And, you know, in your first earlier question, you know, we're sort of there. We're the go-to people. So from beginning to end, we're the people that are approached with the mover information, with the packing. We change address. We help with Shaw Cable if that's needed.
Right.
So
all the details.
you know,
eh?
yeah,
And the emotional support.
Emotional support, absolutely.
And how long, sorry, when does the process start when somebody approaches you until you actually move them? Lock, stock, and barrel.
That one is a funny question because our last 2 moves have really been within a week.
Oh, is that right?
And less. In fact, we had a call on a Saturday. This is 3 weeks back now to the day. And we had the call on a Saturday, and it was, I need this customer, this new client moved to this community.
Okay.
And I want it done by Saturday. No, it was by Friday. By Friday, I want them here. And we're like, okay, great. So we immediately phoned the senior in question and spoke with him, and he could meet with us the same day. And by the end of that day, we had set up a mover, and actually 2 movers, because as it worked out, the elevator was booked where he was.
Oh, boy.
So he only had a Tuesday or a Friday that he was allowed to move out of his building.
Mm-hmm.
So we asked the community he was moving to which day works better, and they said, well, Tuesday would be great. We're like, done. So he was packed and ready to go on Tuesday morning for the mover to pick up. And by Thursday, he had a lot of art, so the last picture got hung up on Thursday, which is also something we do.
So how come it was such a short time frame?
He was unhappy. It was a circumstance that was, I think, a little unusual. He had been living, there was a repair that hadn't been addressed in the community that he was in. And he ended up just deciding to go. That was it.
Not one of my buildings.
No, definitely not.
I would gather, though,
definitely not.
I would gather that you would prefer a little more advance notice than 3 or 4 days to do an effective job, right?
Yeah. But it's also to illustrate that,
well, sure.
you know, depending on the need
pinch, it can get
and
done.
what has to happen,
Right.
it can happen.
Right.
So
you make it happen.
We make it happen.
Right. And Amber, I wanted to ask you, because Phyllis has alluded to people being, family members being out of town. And on the island, this is pretty typical. People retire to Vancouver Island from everywhere else in Canada. This is the nicest climate in the country. So you've got a lot of people from the prairies, and I'm talking now from Campbell River right down to Gordon Head. All of those communities, Parksville, Qualicum, Nanaimo, all in through there. There are thousands and thousands of retirees, many of whom are in communities, but who are going to leave their houses and downsize into a retirement environment like the Kensington. So to have people like Phyllis and Jackie, when the rest of the family is back in Saskatchewan, it's the difference between getting it done smoothly and being a really rough ride.
It's invaluable. You know, you can't, the stories that I hear from our residents who move in, you know, without the downsizer, without that emotional support when they don't have family in town.
Right.
You know, the move would not have been as successful. It's a very important part, especially for the integration, because the first couple of weeks in a community, you want your apartment to be set up, art on the wall, that favorite cup of coffee. All those details are incredibly important.
Yeah, we've heard stories about people who didn't opt to hire a downsizer. And, you know, 3 weeks after they've moved, they're still tripping over boxes.
Right.
Things are unpacked. You know, they're just not living a comfortable life.
Right.
And it's just a shame, right?
And it would make the transition infinitely more awkward, wouldn't it?
Well, that's what it does.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a significant change in life to move. Period, as you just said, changing postal code is trauma enough.
Yes, exactly.
But then you're moving to a retirement community. You're really changing your life, and to not have, as Jackie said, a pro there to kind of guide you through it, it just makes it even that much more awkward.
You want to set yourself up for success, and choosing a downsizer will certainly do that.
Right, exactly. So, what's the website?
Oh, our website is
Yes.
www.stillonthehill.ca.
Stillonthehill.ca. Okay, and ReveraLiving.com is yours, and that's all the 9 Revera communities, including Amber's Kensington and
Yes,
Victoria.
those are just in BC.
Are at ReveraLiving.com. So one website takes care of all of the properties, and it's great actually because you can take a look at all of the different communities in
Absolutely.
and the cities in which they're located around the province.
Yep. See what you want to go check out, and we're right across Canada, including 10 in Oregon.
What about, Jackie, if people, you are called out to go to someone's home, Amber has perhaps referred you to a senior, and off you two go, and you're met at the door by someone who's not very happy to see you, because they're not really keen on doing this anyway. My kid talked me into this, and I'm not real happy about it. Does that happen, Phyllis,
Sure,
more
it
often than
does.
not? Yeah?
I wouldn't say more often. A lot of times if someone's taken the time to make the call, there's an interest, and that's why we're there. So really, if we're at the door, we're meeting them, and that's where we start to get to know them.
Right.
And people, have their own misconceptions about what the service is or what moving is or what a retirement community is. Maybe they remember moving their parents, 40 years ago. And it was very different. It's not like it is today.
And that's a nice difference,
It
that
is.
people are calling you and everybody's aware, unlike some of the dynamics we face,
Yes.
where the boomer children may have approached us doing the research because they feel that, maybe mom or dad needs to move, but they haven't told them yet.
Right. And so, Jackie, some of it is just talking that stressed out individual down a few notches, so then you can have a conversation at least.
Absolutely. And one of the things that we find is that, when we go in and we talk to them, we alleviate their stresses. Like we've been through this so many times, and to them, it seems insurmountable, right? And we go in and say, no problem. No problem at all. We've done this a million times. We can do it again. And we're going to walk you through it. This is exactly how we're going to do it. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Here's a floor plan. Let's open up the discussion on what you can take and what you can't take. And, it's a fluid process, right? And they usually when we leave, they feel 100% better.
You'd think so.
Yeah.
Chronologically, though, how does it work? Because Jackie was talking about a floor plan. Now, here's my floor plan, and now we got to fit as much of my stuff into this floor plan as possible, and then we'll get rid of the other stuff. And we'll talk about the separation of what to keep and what to move along with. But when it comes to people coming into the community and do they select a floor plan and pick a suite before you call Phyllis and Jackie, or sometimes, or how does it work chronologically?
Yeah. I mean, the typical. Let's talk about the typical. I mean, there's always
Sure.
the exceptions. There's no question, but typically, a boomer or a senior will select a suite, a floor plan, reserve that, and start working with a downsizer to prep for the move.
Okay.
And where we come in is that we then take that floor plan and we fit their belongings in that floor plan, their furnishing and their belonging.
Right, and that's part of what you were saying earlier, Phyllis, about how the bringing forward of as much of that comfort zone stuff right down to the favorite table with a coffee cup and all, it's really important in terms of continuity in that person's life.
Yes, absolutely. It is important. We also just make sure that they're comfortable and safe as well, because you can't bring everything.
Right.
But as long as they realize after they've met us and we've had that little moment to sort of explain and calm them down, and they see the benefit of, the items they can take and not take, it doesn't become so stressful. We've, as Jackie said earlier, we've lowered their stress level. And an interesting point, moving is up there with, a death or divorce.
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
The third one.
Oh, no, it's true.
It's a big
I mean,
thing.
that's
People
right.
underestimate.
That's right back to school and
Yeah.
Psych 101
Yeah.
and traumatic events and the stressors that they trigger. And a move is an enormously stressful event for anyone of any age. So, compounded by a person in their 70s or 80s. That's just hugely stressful.
And someone who may have lived in their home for 30, 40, 50 years.
Exactly. And well, we'll talk about that. We need to take a quick break here, but we'll talk about the separation of the person from their possessions and the prioritizing process, all of that. This is Boomer Life. We're talking retirement living on this episode of the program with our guests from Revera Retirement Living, Lydia Miller and Amber Reese. Amber's executive director of the Kensington, in Victoria, and Lydia is regional sales director for BC, and ReveraLiving.com is Lydia's website, and that's where you can find out all about the Revera properties around British Columbia. Also, Jackie Laverick and Phyllis Wicken from StillOnTheHill.ca. And we're back with more after this timeout.
It's all about the baby boomer lifestyle. Boomer Life on AM 650.